My friend Pedro makes the most amazing tagines. His background is Tunisian and he's done lamb tagine, chicken tagine, but I'm going to put a twist on his classic tagine and make a vegetarian version. It's got loads of flavour and I promise you, all the meat lovers out there, you won't miss out on the meat because there's so much flavour. I'm using a traditional tagine here because when you cook it really slowly in this earthenware, it creates the most beautiful depth of flavour. So heat this up over a medium heat, a good glug of olive oil, and then in with some onions and a little bit of garlic. I say a little bit, I'll take that back, a lot of garlic, and that's his trick. He uses loads of garlic in the basis here. So I'm gonna add, let's say 3 or 4 cloves. I'm gonna leave a little bit in here because this is going to be for another sauce on top. Now, just with a wooden spoon, give that a mix, and you wanna cook this down for about 5 to 10 minutes so it can really soften. Now let's talk about the spices. I go 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika and 2 teaspoons each of coriander powder and cumin powder. Now for the other vegetables, I'm using a combination of sweet potato, and over here I've already roasted them. You can do this ahead of time. You can even do this the day before. This was a large sweet potato and I've cut them into rounds just like this and then cooked them in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes or until they've softened. I've also done this with 1 large eggplant, and you can see into round, same size, and you can see these have softened too. Now back to the pot here. This is softened perfectly, so we can add our spices now all at once, taking them off the plate, and then just allow them to toast so they become really fragrant. You don't want to add anything else at this stage until those spices have toasted, and the best way to find that out is having a really good smell, and when you can smell it and it's aromatic, then it's time to add a little bit of tomato paste and mix that in. I'm going to turn the heat down now because I don't want it to be too hot, and then some chopped tomatoes, so 1 whole can of chopped tomatoes. Now I'll add some salt, a good pinch of salt here, and just to accentuate the sweetness from those tomatoes, I'm going to add prunes. I love the flavour of prunes in tagine, so a really good handful. These ones have been pitted so they can be added without any fuss. Now to make this really hearty, I'm going to add some chickpeas. So this is 1 can of chickpeas, and I've just drained them and rinsed them under the tap, and they can go in now. Give it a stir, and automatically you can see that this is really bulking out this North African inspired stew. And now I need some liquid in here, so 2 cups of chicken stock, or if you want to make it 100% vegetarian, vegetable stock. Even water is fantastic in this. Now this is going to cook for about 20 minutes so all of those flavours can develop. In the meantime, we can start our sauce. I'm going to use a small food processor for this just to make life a lot easier. It's a combination of olives, and I'm using green olives that I've pitted myself. That leftover garlic I'm just going to add now. So I told you, Pedro does like to use a lot of garlic in his cooking. And some parsley, about half a bunch of parsley. I'm just going to tear that up, stalks and all. That's where all the flavour is. You know what, I'm going to add a little bit more to this because I really want to taste the parsley in here. And I need some heat into this, so 1 green chilli, 1 long green chilli, membrane, seeds and all, because I want that heat straight in. And now for some preserved lemon. Now you need to be careful with preserved lemon because if you use too much, it overpowers everything. It almost tastes soapy. So just a quarter, about this size, is what we're looking for. You also need to take out the flesh because that's really salty and unpleasant. So we'll take that out and then roughly chopping it because I'm going to get my mini food processor to do the rest of the work. Now we need a binding agent, so some good quality extra virgin olive oil, a good drizzle of that in there, and then the lid can go on, and I'm going to blitz this until we have a nice pesto looking consistency. All right, oh, look at that colour. That is what I'm looking for, just that little zing of freshness right at the end. So this is ready, my vegetables are cooked. All I need to do is toss them in that really nice warm basis of the tagine and then make some couscous and we're ready for dinner. Now let's have a look how this is reduced. Oh, fantastic. See how thick and rich that is? And those prunes have held their shape. Now we need to warm up these vegetables in this stew. So just with some tongs, or just use your fingers if you like, I'm just going to place the sweet potato in. And you want to cook this for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, essentially just warming through the vegetables because they are already cooked, because they've been roasted already. And then don't forget the eggplant here. And I've kept it really basic. This is how I do it in my cookbook, Dinner with Justine. But you could absolutely use some capsicum in here. You could use some zucchini, change it up, even some fresh tomatoes, fabulous. And then one more time, I'm just going to mix that in. That chickpea ragu. Oh, and I wish you could smell this because it's so good. All right, very low heat now, just for it to warm through. Lid goes on. And now for the couscous. Now the couscous has been sitting here for about 5 to 10 minutes, and you do need to let it sit so all of those individual grains can puff up and double in size. And I always add a big knob of butter in here because it does give it a fantastic flavour. Now with a fork, we're just going to scrape the surface, just like we were scraping sand, if you like, because if you start to mix this, it'll be clumpy, and there's nothing worse than couscous that's clumpy. So just run your fork around it, and I'm going to pile my couscous in the centre. That's plenty. Spread it out, and then now let's have a look at this. That tagine lid's so hot, so we'll just take it off with a tea towel. And then with a big spoon, I'm going to generously pile this up in the centre. Oh, look at this. One more big spoonful on the top there. That's looking good. And don't forget that sauce that we made before, that green olive and parsley sauce, and just drizzle this over the top there. This is a really inexpensive dinner shared in the middle of the table. Loads of flavour. That's my North African tagine from Dinner with Justine.